Do you find that you're nickel and diming your clients and you just don't like doing that? And maybe there are times that you actually feel undervalued. They're treating you more like an employee. They don't really understand what you do. They don't want to meet with you or respond to your client emails. So what we want to do is really show you how to create a more predictable revenue stream, and also how to be able to improve your workflow. Those are some of the common concerns that accounting firm owners have. And one way to be able to do this is to transition from what I call that long laundry list of a la carte services that so many accounting firm owners offer, and move over to packaging your services for clients. So that's where you're bundling things together. Now, this is a change in your business model. So it might be that the idea sounds really good, but you're on the fence because there's some pros and cons to doing that. What we're going to do is dig into the pros and cons today. I'm Lauren Fogelman with Business Success Solution, and I want to go ahead and start off with the pros. So some of the things that might be coming up for you as you're considering moving this direction of packaging your services, you're doing the research, you've seen other people do it, and it looks appealing to you. The very first thing as far as a pro is that it actually creates an increased perceived value of your services. And that's because when you're bundling your services together, you're able to focus more on the outcomes and the benefits, and not really enroll people as much into the work that you're doing for them, but really enrolling them into the benefits of you doing that work for them. And as a result of that, it's seen as a perceived value because now you're talking about things that matter to them. It is more comprehensive, and also it is sometimes a lot more cost effective than piecemealing things together, where there might be unpredictable invoices for 1 month to the next. There's a lot of fluctuation happening when you're doing the a la carte services. So that is one thing, is that it has increased perceived value for your client. The second thing is that there is now predictable revenue, because the difference with a la carte services is you're doing the work first and then you're sending out an invoice. Now, with some clients, they might pay right away. Others might just lag on everything, including paying your invoice. Or it might be that it took longer than you thought it would, and you immediately wrote off some hours without getting compensated. You gave them a discount, or they're coming back wondering why it costs so much, and now you're negotiating. And also, some months clients might be needing more, others times less. So that affects your revenue as well. So what this does is, by packaging your services, it is now consistent revenue from start to finish, 1 month to the next. You know exactly what to expect. And as a result of that, it allows you to have more predictable revenue, which is a bonus right there. As a result of that, you can now be able to forecast what it is that you want to do over the long term, maybe look at strategic growth. You can also look at budgeting better. And also, if you need some staffing solutions, you can figure out how to be able to make that happen based on your current revenues. So that is something to look at, is more predictable revenue. The third thing, as far as one of the benefits of packaging your services and getting away from the a la carte, is improved client satisfaction. Yes, they absolutely love it because they know what to expect. There's so much transparency from pricing to scope. So once again, they know what's included. They have peace of mind that it's a fixed cost. They know that if there's any additional requests, that there's a process for working with that. So that is something to think about, is there is now improved client satisfaction because there's transparency as far as the scope of work and the pricing of your firm services. Anyway, those are three pros of moving to packages: is increased perceived value, predictable revenue, and improved client satisfaction. Okay, so let's go to the downside, where it might be that a la carte services feel like a better fit. And the first thing to look at is implementation. The transition to packages is a different type of business model. And because of that, it will require some change. So if you are someone who loves the status quo, does not like change whatsoever, then you might want to stick with your a la carte services. So that is something to think about, is that yes, it is a transition and that it does disrupt the status quo a little bit. The second thing is there's an initial investment of time, money, as well as effort. So as you're doing this and creating your packages, there might be some investment of your time with creating the packages. There might be some investment as you're making some changes with how you're talking to your clients, how you might be putting things out there as far as marketing goes, or you might be making some changes to your website if you want to do that. Also, there might be some frustration because with anything new that you do for the first time, there is a little bit of a learning curve, especially if you're DIYing it, you're doing it yourself, as opposed to reaching out and having someone who does this all the time help you with that. So that is something to think about. And the other thing is, okay, as far as the investment, maybe you want to reach out to someone who is able to do this with you. I do this with my clients all the time. I handhold them through the process, but because of that, they're actually having a better result and quicker as opposed to if it was DIY. So both are good. You just have to figure out what is the investment you want to make. Do you want to make more time because you're doing it yourself? Do you want to make more of a money investment because you'll see the benefits turn around faster than if you did it yourself? Pros and cons to both. And then the third thing is pricing. Because you're unsure how to price your packages, you continue to undercharge, and you might actually continue to calculate time, costs, and other things based on your hourly rate, as opposed to looking at it from a value perspective and shifting over to value pricing. So that is one of the common mistakes that's very rarely talked about when clients go ahead, accounting firm owners start to create packages, is that they're still pricing it based on their old pricing model. As a result of that, they're leaving money on the table. So those are three cons to packaging your services: is implementation. It is a transition. Initial investment, time, money, maybe some frustration as you're going through this change with the learning curve. The third thing is pricing, because you don't know how to actually value price your services. So you continue to figure out how much time you think it'll take and coming up with your prices that way. Now, if this is something that appeals to you and you want to be able to consider this even more, then these are some things to consider. Is first of all, your clients. Go ahead and analyze your clients. See if there are some core services that all of your clients need. That is something to think about as you start to consider packages. Also, as you're going through the services that your clients need, maybe there are some patterns that you're able to pinpoint as well. So that is the first thing, is you want to look at all your clients. Are there any core services that they all need? And are there any patterns coming up as well with your clients? The second thing is profit margin. If you are continuing to undercharge for your services, or you're calculating your fees based on how much time something takes, then you want to be able to make the shift so that we can increase your profit margins. Because let's just face it, as you gain expertise, as you go ahead and add on some technology or software to increase efficiency, I want your firm to be more profitable, not less profitable. So we want to go ahead and have packages be something that increase your profit margins. The next thing is scope creep. Do you find that you get these random client requests and that you're regularly dealing with scope creep, or you're accepting client requests and you're not making any changes to how much you're charging your clients? Then that is something you want to think about as well. And then the last thing for you to consider is growth goals. With your current business model, is there room for growth? Can you do that without burning out and maxing out your time and giving up your quality of life? So if that, or maybe you're thinking about, as you're moving forward and growing, about wanting to appeal to a different type of client. That is something to think about as well. So those are some factors to consider as you're consider, as you're looking forward at packages, whether they are a right fit for your firm, you want to look at your clients, consider your profit margin. Do you deal with scope creep? And what are your growth goals? Anyway, those are some things to consider. If this is something that appeals to you, you want to look at how to implement this. You do not want to DIY it and do it yourself. You want to get this done fast enough because you've been thinking about it for a long time and now it's just time. Then let's have a conversation about how to be able to get this done sooner than better than later and with better results than if you did it yourself. So if that appeals to you, you want to package your services, and reach out to me at businesssuccesssolution.com/let's talk, and we can get that set up. Lauren Fogelman, showing accounting firm owners how to double their income, working half the time.